Today, we're going to be talking about the upcoming food stamp riots that everybody is threatening on social media. This is a domestic crisis, not a foreign one, but it's a crisis all the same. We've got 42 million Americans that rely on government food benefits that are being told that those benefits are going to run out with the government shutdown. So when subsidies vanish, so does restraint. And with 42 million people angry out there, the police are not going to be able to keep up. The food banks are going to go empty fast. And when the mobs realize that nobody's stopping them, here's what happens. They start to loot and destroy, and that goes well beyond groceries, into pharmacies, hardware stores, even people's homes. And ordinary citizens become a target, like you and me, law-abiding people, because people who are not out there rioting and looting are seen as rich and privileged. It's envy disguised as justice. And the crazy thing is, you get this moral inversion where right becomes wrong and people start to feel justified and righteous to go out and steal and bash you over the head and take your basket of groceries as you're pulling out of the Walmart store on the way to your car.
So the government shutdown is now going into its second month, so that's fantastic. But while there's not much you can do about that, there is something you can do about another issue you should be paying attention to, and that's microplastics. They've got a lot in common with Congress, actually. They're like microscopic Democrats. They slow everything down and are always demanding more resources. Now, you know I report on wars and disasters, but lately I've been reading a lot about the really unhealthy residue that war creates. Every drone that crashes, every missile launch, every burned out vehicle leaves behind more than just twisted metal. It leaves plastic baked into the sand, drifting into the air, working its way into everything that breathes, including you. Modern warfare runs on polymers, body armor, helmets, fiber optics. And when those microplastics break down, they don't just disappear. They seep into the soil, the water, and the air. And get this, war isn't even the biggest culprit. Tires are. Every mile they roll, they shed microscopic bits of gunk and multiply that by a few billion vehicles, and we're covering the planet in invisible garbage. And just like the government, unfortunately, you can't avoid it. Every breath, every bite, every sip of water, you're taking in little bits of what used to be drone parts and Goodyears. And those microscopic particles don't just sit there. They wreck your hormones like a drunk congressman in a spending committee. We're talking chemicals like BPA and synthetic estrogens that confuse your testosterone, wreck your metabolism, and make you feel soft. Scientists are now finding microplastics in muscle and bone tissue as well. So when you feel weak or groggy, it's not just because you're old. You might literally be turning into a Capri Sun wrapper. So what do? You fight back. You can't avoid plastic, but you can help your body flush it out. Turns out, a strain of bacteria that's found only in kimchi actually eats this stuff. It's called Bacillus pumilus, and Brightcore figured out how to put it into a capsule form. It's called Kimchi 1. Over 900 probiotic strains, live enzymes, antioxidants, all designed to help you clean up your gut and support your health. And unlike kimchi, it doesn't smell like gym socks left in a hot car. Kimchi 1 is all natural, non-GMO, made in the USA, totally dairy, gluten, and soy-free. And you can get 25% off your first bottle with code CHUCK at mybrightcore.com/Chuck, or call 888-927-6882 for up to 50% off, plus free shipping. The first 100 callers also get a free bottle of vitamin D3. Again, call 888-927-6882 and tell them Chuck sent you before the microplastics finish turning you into a Ziploc bag.
We're going to look at some of the videos that are coming out right now, and I'm just going to stop these as I go through them, but this is crazy.
So I get $3,000 in food stamps.
She gets $3,000 a month in food stamps.
Obviously, it's 8 of us.
Probably 7 kids and her, because there's likely not a man in the picture. If there's a man in the picture, then she stops qualifying for many of these benefits. And so we actually incentivize her not to have a man in her life, or not to at least claim that there's one living in her house, for them not to marry like they should, but to just cohabitate and go from one baby daddy to another.
I have no income, so obviously I'm gonna get the full benefit.
No income.
Amount. Does that make you mad too? Does it make you mad that the government is helping me feed my children?
Yeah, it does make me mad. It doesn't make me mad at her per se, because when you feed the ducks, you get more ducks. If the government is handing out bennies, you can't blame the people who line up to get them. But it makes me mad at our government, because our government is just so dedicated to creating this class division and to wielding the power that comes with the purse, that they've taken the ability to provide for people in need away from the churches, away from the individuals, and they've taken it upon themselves, not because they can do a better job at it, because they can't. Every dollar in taxes that the government collects, about 40 cents of it just goes away in friction, that monetary friction that happens with overhead. And now what they're doing is they're creating this dependent class that props up the economy, that props up the government in many ways, and buys votes from people.
Does that make you want to punch me in my face? Does
No.
that make you angry? Does that make you shiver in your boots?
No.
Yeah, be mad. Stay mad.
Yeah, see, she doesn't care.
How's I'm gonna feed my kids? I don't have a job.
The kids are not the problem here. If you're not willing to be the kind of mother that takes care of her children, that's willing to work hard, that's willing to do whatever it takes, get out there and take 3 jobs, whatever. I know a lot of single moms like that they work themselves to the bone. But this woman, she doesn't need to, because she can just sit back, get morbidly obese on the taxpayer dime. And as far as she believes, she is completely entitled to that.
With all my bags, picking out.
What I'm trying to do here today is to warn you to prepare yourselves, because these people are saying that they are going to go out and start looting en masse, industrial scale looting, starting November 1st. Now, there are some places that are calling for specific times and places. We're all going to show up at Walmart on the 3rd of November, stuff like that. But the bottom line is, I'm trying to warn people. Look at this woman. She's got her whole family there at Walmart, and they're already loading up and getting ready to steal.
Yeah, I told y'all, with or without EBT, me and mine gonna eat.
Clock it.
When you steal from Walmart, Walmart has to raise prices to cover that theft. And look, this is a massive problem. There is approximately, from what I can tell, looking at the numbers, Walmart loses about $16 billion a year in theft. That is a massive amount of money. If I'm paying 2% more for every transaction that I make, I'm paying a lot more. That adds up. Not to mention the fact that this lady is living on the taxes that I pay and you pay every year. And she doesn't get that because she's getting a check from a faceless entity called the US government, instead of having me hand it to her directly. And that makes it difficult for these people to understand why it costs us money. Here's another lady who's already gone to stealing.
I'm out of the store, so they wanted $7 for this. Mind you, I don't have food stamps anymore. They cut me off. So I only had $22 left in food stamps. So this is what I stole. Okay, they wanted $9 for this. I said, I don't got $9.
I don't got $9, so I'm just going to steal it. Imagine if all of us acted that way. I go to the Tesla dealership and I go, oh, I don't have $60,000 for a Tesla, but I want it, so I'm just going to take it. What if all of us were like that? That would be a serious problem.
$2 for this. They wanted $7 for this. I'm making some stuffed salmon today. These are needed. I'm not paying.
They're needed. She needs her stuffed salmon. That's absolutely the kind of food that I ate when I was poor. I ate stuffed salmon all the time.
$7 for that. Okay, let me show you the most important thing to me. Short ribs. Take off the label so that you don't beep.
She's teaching people how to steal and not get caught at it. She just like, of course I'm stealing. Of course. I don't have the money and I want it. And I got to have my stuffed salmon and my short ribs. So I'm going to take it. Okay, here's another lady, but she's really upset.
They cut my food stamps. I ain't paying for none of this shit. I got babies at home that gotta eat. You think I'm just gonna leave my cart here? Hell no. I ain't paying nothing. I'm walking out with it. Try and stop me.
Try and stop me. She looks like a force to be reckoned with. I don't think I'd want to stand in her way, but somebody needs to stop her. I feel bad for people who work for their money, who shop at Walmart, who are seeing their prices go up and are having to pay for the people like this who are walking out. And the number of people who are walking out is going to go from 2% to maybe 7 or 8% in the coming weeks if nothing changes. So that's a serious problem. Let's go on to the next one.
Let me tell y'all something.
No, I just put this lady in because she's hilarious. I love this lady.
I was just talking about going out there making them videos, talking about y'all gonna rob them people's stores because they done cut them SNAP benefits. Let me tell you something. You go out there, you gonna give them folks every legal right to bop you across your head.
You're gonna give those folks every legal right to bop you across your head. She's not exactly right about that, because you still don't get to use violence on somebody just because they're stealing from Walmart. If that were the case, it would be a whole lot more fun to hang around the entrance to Walmart. I've been there at Walmart entrances multiple times in the last few years when flash mobs have come running out the door carrying stolen goods. And I just had to watch them, because if I go tackle them, I'm the one that's going to go to jail. That's why Walmart doesn't bother stopping them. They won't stop shoplifters because of the legal liability. Our screwed up legal system allows people who are criminals to sue you if you try to perform a citizen's arrest. And so that's just not a thing anymore. It's unfortunate, but it's the case. Folks, you'd better go buy what you need to buy, do your grocery shopping before the first of the month. You've got 2 days left. So before the first of the month, get out and get stocked up. And so I would say stock up for a month if you're at all able to do it. Go get some extra food, because look, normal people turn violent when they get into mobs like this. If you see a crowd of people forming and they're protesting something, or it's a flash mob or whatever, get away from that crowd of people. Go somewhere else. Use your, as they call, run foo, not to fight, but to run foo, means run away. Why? Because anonymity that comes with being a part of a mob means no accountability. It's an emotional contagion. Fear plus anger spreads faster than facts do. And when the crowd moves, the mind just shuts off. This has been studied, and brain scientists say that in a mob, people's center of logic in their brain starts to dim, their emotional center takes over, and they will do things that they would never think of doing otherwise, because they've succumbed to a sort of collective insanity. That's where justice becomes vengeance, because they start to actually believe that they're morally justified to go out and rape and pillage and kill. This desperation that we're about to see unfolding on November 1st, we very likely could be seeing on November 1st, is not going to stop at the city limits. You might say, I'm not going to be affected by that because I live out in the country. Not a big deal for me, because out here, number one, there are actually more people in rural areas that receive SNAP benefits than there are people in urban areas. But nevertheless, you can't just count on that violence stopping at the city limits. So if you've got food, if you've got fuel, or if you've got money, you're a potential target. Mobs are not going to check your income or your zip code before they attack you at the gas station or the Walmart parking lot. Now, I want to get into something that my friend John Correa talks about a lot on his YouTube channel, which is called Active Self-Protection. I highly recommend you go check that out. He talks about transitional spaces a lot. One of the things he says is that when you enter a parking lot, a street, a sidewalk, any place that's like public property is a transitional space. You need to have some hard and fast rules about how you behave in those places. For example, a lot of people I see coming out of Target are walking and they're just staring at their phone while they're walking to their car, not paying any attention to what's around them. That is very likely to cause you to be a target, because it makes you look like food for any potential predator that's out there looking. Oh, there's a guy that's not paying attention. I'm more likely to attack that guy than I am to attack some guy who's got his head on a swivel, that's got his game face on, and is marching smartly to his vehicle. Now, Dwayne says, quit scaring these people. What's wrong with you anyway? I'm not being overly dramatic here. It is more likely that in the coming weeks, you will be at risk of being violently attacked or robbed than you are right now. That just objectively, the risks are going up. I'm not telling you you need to be afraid. I'm telling you need to be prepared. It's time for men to stand up and to arm up and to train up and to make the world a safer place around them. And if this won't motivate you to do that, then nothing will. Imagine if I wasn't putting this out and you're watching me on a regular basis and I didn't say anything about this, and then you go to Walmart on the 1st thinking everything's going to be normal, and you find yourself in the middle of a massive brawl because a bunch of people are stealing, or you're rolling your cart full of goods out to your car and somebody comes by and steals that cart from you, beats you over the head and takes it away. I'm trying to give you the information you need to be prepared and be safe in the coming weeks. You need to also build relationships with your neighbors. Share contacts, share information. Obviously, you want to make sure that you lock your doors. Like when you go out, leave the Walmart, and a lot of people I see, they go out and they get in their car, they load up their groceries and leave their trunk open while they walk 50 yards away to go return the cart, which is very important and very responsible of you to do. But maybe don't leave your car open when you do that. Close the hood, close the trunk, and lock the car before you go return your cart. When you go get in your car, a lot of people will sit there and they'll text on their phone, they'll whatever, and they're sitting there with their door unlocked. Somebody could come up and yank your door open and carjack you. So you want to either make it a habit to get in your car and leave, and then when you get out on the road, maybe pull over and do whatever you need to do on your phone. Or if you're going to be sitting in the parking lot for a while, lock your doors. Okay. Keep your vehicle fueled up. That's another thing. It won't just be Walmarts and other big block stores that are going to be affected by this. It's going to be gas stations, and that fungibility of money means that the money they get from the government goes to buy their food, and then their money goes to buy their gas. Now they're not going to have the money to buy their food, and obviously food's more important than gas. So they could be just as likely to try to steal your gas or rob you as you're at the gas pump than they could otherwise. All right, I want you to listen to this guy carefully, because he's saying, okay, we're gonna all get together and we're gonna do this together. And if we do it right, nobody's gonna get arrested.
If we all go at 10:30, 30 minutes before close, they'll be winding down, be ready to get off. They ain't gonna want to chase after no, especially if it's some food. I'm telling y'all, if we ramshack that all at one time, everybody ain't gonna get caught. Some of y'all may, but it won't be me. With my and just how I'm gonna get away with my ham, my turkey, and my baked macaroni, and my greens. I'm telling y'all, we can do it. We will not go hungry. Now, they was barricading the motherfucking doors with looting in 2020. I don't think they gonna do that. This is a good cause. People need to eat.
He's morally justifying criminal activity, saying this is a just cause. Look, there is a difference between stealing a television and stealing a loaf of bread to feed your family. Yes, there is a difference to that. The Bible even talks about there being a difference in that, but it does not excuse either one. They are both stealing. They are both wrong. And here's what these people don't understand. When you live with integrity and you follow God's law, and the 10 Commandments very clearly say, do not steal. When you follow that, then you can count on the fact that you will be living under God's blessing. But if you say, oh, I'm desperate, I'm hungry, I got to have something. So you go out and you commit a crime to get what you need. What you've just traded was a loaf of bread for God's blessing. You no longer live under God's blessing. And so you will have a worse time. You will be more cursed because you gave up voluntarily God's blessing in your life. I can look back at specific instances in my life where God provided miraculously for me because we continued to live under his blessing. And that those hard times that were come, that was not God abandoning us. That was God allowing us to get to know him better. Because when we trusted God, God came through. And I've lived my entire life that way. When you trust God to provide for you, God will provide for your needs. So put your trust in and your faith in God, and he will rescue you. And don't fall prey to this mindset, this mob mentality that says it's okay to go out and commit felonies just because everybody else is doing it. Folks, you are a child of the living God. It's time to start acting that way. I think we're about to see things getting intentionally worse. There are forces at play in our government who are intentionally causing this to happen. They want it to happen. So we need to pray that maybe not that God will immediately take all this away, but that we will have more faith as we navigate through this.